In the headlines tonight, police officer fights off armed thugs during Chanja police post raid.
The gunshots were directed at the police through the glass window.
Experts emphasize use of agriculture statistics to improve food security.
Food production has an impact on general production everywhere.
Also tonight, Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago threatens to drag police to court over border operation. And in sports, the countdown has started for the first World Cup to be held in the Arab world. Teams name 26-man squads.
Hello, good evening and welcome to CTV PM edition. Today is Monday, the 14th of November 2022. Let's take a look at some of the stories that are making headlines this evening. We start off with 2 gunmen have this morning attacked Chanja police station in Nakawa division, where they opened fire, although they did not kill or injure anyone. According to police, attackers opened fire in a riot shooting on a border motorcycles, and also police says investigations are going on.
This morning, 2 unidentified gunmen attacked a police post in Chanja, Nakawa division, where they opened fire at police officers. According to eyewitnesses, the armed assailants orchestrated the attack on a motorcycle as they rode by the police post. By the time the CTV news team arrived at the police station, the place had already been cordoned off by police to allow the forensic team to carry out investigations. According to the deputy police spokesperson Lokowe Sijere, the 2 suspects who initiated the attack were fought off by a police officer who was on duty.
Officers, while on duty, had 2 gunshots and a speeding motorcycle. The gunshots were directed at the police through the glass window that shattered, and later on moved out to the next door.
OSCJ says they have started thorough investigations into the matter and are monitoring CCTV camera footage. The attack on Chanja police post comes just weeks after.
Lucky enough, none of our officers registered any injuries, and we have since established that this was a ride along shooting. These motorists didn't stop. They just shot at the post and continued riding. We have established the number to be 2. One was the rider, the other was the passenger. And we're using our CCTV footages and private footages. We are trying to establish the number plate.
The attack on Chanja police post comes just weeks after similar incident took place at a police post in Bosi Kaluwero district, where assailants attacked and killed 2 police officers before stealing 2 guns in the process.
Now, police have today urged football fans to be vigilant ahead of the 2022 FIFA World Cup final tournament, which will kick off next week. The alert comes at the time when Uganda is going to mark 1 year since the twin bomb attacks took place outside Kampala Central Police Station and along Lumumba Avenue, claiming the lives of at least 5 people and injuring dozens. We have more.
Ahead of the anticipated tournament, the police have today come out to warn football fans, who will be gathering in different hangout spots, to catch the live games against terror attacks.
While there are no specific threats identified, it is important that premises consider the risk from those intent on causing wide-scale harm and panic amongst fans, football fans and well-wishers. Several hangout spots and venues remain attractive to terrorists who seek to attack publicly accessible locations.
It should be remembered that on the 11th of July 2020, suicide bombings were carried out against crowds watching a screening of the 2010 FIFA World Cup final at 2 locations of Chadondo Ragibe grounds and Ethiopian Village restaurant in Kampala. The attacks, which were claimed by Al-Shabaab, left 74 dead and 85 injured. While addressing journalists today at the police headquarters, police publicist Fred Enanga urged owners of hangout spots to beef up security.
News should draw their security management plans in liaison with the area police. If you're in Naguru here, then we expect you to work with the police at Ginger Road and so on to come up with very robust security management plans. Ensure access controls at the venue, that is entry-exit protocols, are put in place.
Away from the World Cup, Ugandans have also been urged to remain vigilant as we enter the festive season.
You remember the previous attack of 2010? We lost 74 people who were killed in bomb blasts that went off in Chadondo, Kabalagala. And this shows that football watching venues are potential areas of terror attacks.
The 16th of November will also mark 1 year since the twin bomb blast took place outside Kampala Central Police Station and Parliamentary Avenue. Police have today announced that they will be joining the rest of the country to remember the fallen.
Of course, their sacrifices have continued to make our country safer and secure. That has enabled the public to go about their daily activities. Now, why we are coming out today is that although there are no specific threats directed at our country at this stage, terrorists have a philosophy of conducting repeat attacks during anniversaries. And it is against that background that we want to call upon Ugandans and visitors to actually remain vigilant as we approach the 16th of November 2022.
The two attacks, which were orchestrated by suicide bombers, claimed the lives of at least 5 civilians and saw over a dozen of people getting injured during the attacks. Tony Patila Humza, CTV, Edition.
Members of Parliament have today condemned government's move to increase the tax on second-hand clothes. The move follows a plight made by traders dealing in second-hand clothes under the association. Now, the traders have since threatened to go on strike if the tax is not scrapped.
In a press conference held this morning in Kampala along Rubaga Road, dealers in second-hand clothes and shoes revealed their intention to go on strike if government does not scrap an increment in per kilo tax. According to the chairperson of Old and Used Clothes Association, Andrew Rubeihayo, government has since increased between 4 to 5 million shillings per container.
Used clothes have been increased from 1.13 to 1.17. Used shoes have been increased from 1.37 to 1.41. Used bags have been increased from 2.27 to 2.34, which is marginally an increase of $0.04 per kilo, resulting into an increment of probably about 4 to 5 and 6 million per container, on top of what we have already been struggling to pay. We have had a history of these tax increments. In January 2018, we were paying $0.89 per kilo. That was added to 0.99 in January 2019. In April 2021, it was adjusted to 1.08. In November the same year, 2021, it was again adjusted to 1.13. And again now, November 2022, we have an adjustment that was not communicated, but in the system it has changed and it's now 1.17. This incremental tax means that in a period of 4 years, we have about 40 million shillings increased for just one container.
The business community dealing in old shoes and clothes are now saying they might be driven out of business because of losses.
We are ready to close our shops and not clear any containers until we receive positive feedback from URA and our leaders. I think important to note is milking a cow over and over without feeding it and taking good care of it. At the end of the day, either the milk production is going to reduce or the cow is going to die.
Rubeihayo says over 1.5 million people are directly and indirectly employed in this sector. Comparing to the East African fairs, traders in Tanzania pay around 68 million, Kenya pays around 50 million, and Uganda pays over 100 million.
A question to the taxman and everyone involved. Are you serving Ugandans or you're serving interests of us, sister countries, that continue thriving as we cry about reduced revenue collection, as previously URA was enjoying collections of about 50 billion Uganda shillings per month from the sector alone, which per year could probably move up to about 600 billion Uganda shillings. That is from loose goods collection, which alone have since reduced to almost half because of the incremental taxes that have been happening. This is a sector that supports the economy, employs over 1,500,000 people.
Many Ugandans often do not have money to buy brand new clothes, hence opting for second-hand clothes that are affordable. Government increased this tax on 5th November this year, and up to now they have not yet responded to this call. Sharon Twebaze, CTV, PM Edition.
Experts have now decided to emphasize the use of agriculture statistics to help monitor food security and production to help transform the livelihood of the people. Now, this announcement was made by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, who joined the rest of the continent to commemorate Africa Statistics Week. Let's take a look.
Food insecurity and scarcity continues to be a major challenge in many African countries, with reports of death becoming more rampant. Because of these reports, there is an increasing need for resilience in agriculture production, nutrition and food security in many African countries. Because of such challenges on the continent, the Africa Statistics Week will focus on addressing the problem.
We know now the policy development model, which here has gained a lot of interest. And you can see there's a lot of appetite, even in our communities, regarding this government's wonderful intervention. And you can see strengthening agricultural value chain is the center of this discussion. And for that reason, the government needs agricultural statistics for better planning purposes.
Because after understanding what it is, then we can plan going forward. Understanding what it is, we can hold others accountable. Understanding how it is, then we can demand services.
According to Godfrey Nabongo, the Deputy Executive Director, Uganda Bureau of Statistics, this information is critical for any development.
You know, food production has an impact on general production everywhere. It is a basis for a lot of engagement in manufacturing, especially for Africa. It is a basis where many of our people are engaged on day-to-day, but also the livelihood concerning food and life is on food. You don't have sufficient interventions to enhance agricultural production and nutrition as such. Definitely you'll get a very unproductive population, and poverty will keep around.
The commemoration comes at a time when inflation in the country has skyrocketed into double-digit figures. Experts now believe food production will be critical in controlling the increasing commodity prices.
The question has always been, has Bank of Uganda come in here to kind of control inflation? Majorly, the targeting goes into the services. But when you look at food, these are items which are normally seasonal. For example, if you look at maize, which is majorly the driver, koa, processed maize. So if you can look into investing into producing these items that can be brought on market within 3 months, I think the inflation will be managed.
The Africa Statistics Week will be commemorated under the theme, strengthening data systems by modernizing the production and use of agricultural statistics, informing policies with a view of improving resilience in agriculture, nutrition and food security in Africa. Safi Mokile Beluko and Ramson Mahiri, CTV, PM Edition.
We'll take a short break and we'll be right back with more news. To stay with us.
I'm Biarhanga Bobos, Male Player of the Year, and Uganda Cranes midfielder and Vipers Sports Club. I started in the village where I come from. I come from Tsolo. I'm a Mfumbira. I started from Tsolo Young Simba. I played for Young Simba and Harambe Soccer Academy.
He will go for a shot! Thunderbolt from the best player for Bosivia Ruhanga!
They see me on TV, they feel happy to play for the national team. Just out of football, I like chilling with my friends, even like watching basketball, because me, I love basketball, and I'm a fan of City Oilers in Uganda.
Nirvana packaged drinking water is a product of Crown Beverages Limited, makers of Pepsi products. That's life. That's Nirvana.
Hits it in the air. Will that be set?
He's done it! What a magnificent performance!
Recharge your day with Sting. Extreme energy, refreshing taste, available countrywide. Sting, life switched on, from the makers of Pepsi.
Sometimes in life, we spend all the time trying to live other people's life. And along the way, we lose who we are by copying what other people are doing in their relationship.
You see, from the last time I met your sister, I've not spent a day or a minute without thinking about her.
It's a good surprise on a Monday. This is nice.
So you and him are we're just friends. Wow. Come on.
Just friends.
You either tell me where you're from or you go back to where you've been.
Thinking it would work out for us, but yet to find out that's not who we are after experiencing a great disappointment.
She's in love with some other man, so classy, a gentleman, not poor dogs like you.
These are the mistakes girls do.
Now showing on CTV. Don't blink.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. You're watching CTV PM edition with me, Agi Oase and Isaac Luchamzi on sign language. Now moving on, police insist that they will continue with their operations and crack the whip against errant border riders in a bid to reduce road carnage. The announcement by the police follows threats from the Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago to drag police to court if they do not stop these operations.
2 weeks ago, police launched an operation against border riders to reduce on the current road carnage in the country. The operation by police comes at the helm of a video that was released by the law enforcers depicting the fatality of border accidents at the hand of reckless riders. The operation has seen over 4,000 border motorcycles impounded and fined at different police stations because the riders lacked helmets, reflective jackets and other requirements. Because of these incidents, the Lord Mayor of Kampala, Erias Lukwago, has threatened to drag the police to court, describing the operation as illegal. Lukwago says police has to follow proper procedures to ensure that they bring sanity in the city. Despite the threats from the Lord Mayor, police say they will continue with the operations for the greater good of road users.
Regulation is clear. We are operating within the law. This country has laws and they have to be obeyed and complied with. So if the mayor has an issue with that, the laws are clear. So they either comply with the law so that we fight the carnage on the road, because I don't think the mayor is happy when we lose 1,021 riders because of head crashes on the road. Who is going to vote him? Whom is he going to serve when people are dying on the road?
According to the traffic police spokesperson, whatever they are doing is in accordance with the Traffic and Road Safety Act.
And all those riding the motorcycle, operating on the road, will have a reflective jacket on. It's under the regulation. The motorcycle will move with its light on during day and night, provided it's operating on the road. Every motorcycle rider on the road will have to obey and respect all the rules of the road. 2004, if he's operating on the road. The motorcycles will operate with the third-party insurance. That one caters in case there is a crash. They'll have a PSV That's if the motorcycle is going to operate as a PSV. How do you differentiate a PSV motorcycle from a normal or ordinary motorcycle? The PSV motorcycle, the number plate is written in black on a white plate.
Reports from Uganda Police Force indicate that on a daily basis, 4 people perish in accidents related to borders, meaning that on a monthly basis, over 120 people are killed. The story was compiled by Chris Semalemu Semakula for CTV PM Edition.
In our regional news tonight, Sudan's Central Darfur State has declared a state of emergency for 1 month after more than 24 people were killed in a tribal conflict. Tribal leaders and the official SUNA agency reported on Monday. And in West Africa, the authorities in Burkina Faso launched an inquiry on Saturday into the shell fire. Let's take a look.
Governor Saad Adam Babika, quoted by SUNA, said the state of emergency was declared late Sunday night because both sides of the conflict fired live ammunition at the Reconciliation Commission that was trying to resolve the conflict. The conflict broke out last week between the Arab tribes of Masseria and Oulad Raked in villages near Zangilei, the capital of Central Darfur in western Sudan. A Masseria tribal leader said it started with a stolen mop. The fighting, which has left at least 24 dead, according to the SUNA agency, continues despite the state of emergency. Since the coup by Army Chief General Abdel Fattah al-Burhani in October 2021, tribal conflicts have exploded due to the security vacuum created by the coup, according to experts. They have killed more than 800 people this year and displaced more than 265,000, according to the United Nations. A 2003 war in Darfur between Arab-majority regime of Omar al-Bashir and rebels from ethnic minorities claiming discrimination has left at least 300,000 people dead and 2.5 million displaced, mostly in the early years of the conflict, according to the UN. Bashir, now in prison, was deposed in 2019 under pressure from the street and the army. According to the UN's High Commission on Human Rights, the army is accused of shell firing a number of villages situated around 10 kilometers from the army base last Wednesday. Reports on social networks refer to dozens as dead. Speaking on Saturday, the government spokesperson announced an inquiry list blaming the jihadist extremists active in the region. The degradation of the security situation in the country has prompted 2 coups this year, the last one at the end of September. Since 2015, Burkina Faso has been regularly plagued by increasingly frequent jihadist attacks that have killed thousands and forced some 2 million people to flee their homes.
And elsewhere in the world, Russian President Vladimir Putin on Sunday ordered the demobilization of students from the self-proclaimed republics of Donetsk and Luhansk. Let's take a look.
Russian President Vladimir Putin on Sunday ordered the demobilization of students from the self-proclaimed republics of Donetsk and Lugansk, now annexed by Russia, for their return to the classroom to continue their studies. Putin has ordered us to demobilize the students and return them to their places of study, explained Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, as reported by the Russian press. Days before the large-scale mobilization for war in Ukraine, the true pro-Russian Ukrainian republics announced their own mobilizations, and tens of thousands of men enlisted, including students. Neighbors in the area reported raids on private homes forcibly to remove the recruits the opposition has denounced.
We'll take a short break and we'll be right back with news from the world of sports. Do stay with us.
If I start talking about what football has done for me, of course I will not finish all of them, because football has really done a lot for me. Of course, playing for the national team makes me happy to represent my people, because whenever I'm here in the national team, back home there, people are watching me. So they are proud of me. Like whenever I go back, they feel happy because their boy is in the national team, and it's something which is it's not easy, because I think in West Nile, I don't know how many players are there, but I think right now they are there, but I don't know, but they are happy because I've been there with them. They know that I'm their own, and to be their own in the national team, of course, it makes them happy. And sometimes if I don't play football, I play volleyball. I love playing volleyball. In the morning, football; in the evening, volleyball.
Nirvana packaged drinking water is a product of Crown Beverages Limited, makers of Pepsi products. That's life. That's Nirvana.
Faisha Pictures International presents a new movie, Beneath Beauty. The killer is found dead and the victim on the run. Friday 25th November 2022 at Theatre La Bonita. Entrance will be 30k and VIP 50k. 6 p.m. Beneath Beauty will commence. Don't miss Aisha Chomohanji, Matovu Jr., DJ Nimrod, Allen Musumba, Edison Abitegeka, Dennis Duke, Namara Jole, Ziwa Jabal, Jackie Katutsime, Mushabe Daniel, the hottest Nigerian Kingsley Obiyekwe. Beneath Beauty is produced by Aisha Chomohanji, written and directed by Tumanyane Andrew. For bookings, please visit Sungura House Bukoto, Theatre La Bonita, Total Buyugerere, Total Bunamwaya, or download the Cinema UG app on both Android and iOS. You can contact Faisha Pictures at 0741 846 446. Beneath Beauty, a new movie by Faisha Pictures International at Theatre La Bonita on Friday 25th November. See you there.
Staying with us, now moving on to the world of sports, the Uganda under-20 national team, the Hippos, have finally returned after their triumphant victory at the Sakafa Championship tournament in Sudan. The Hippos were welcomed by FIFA President Moses Magogo, who promised to give them a bonus for qualifying for the Africa Cup of Nations.
The host nation, Qatar, will face Ecuador in the opening match of what is already a controversial tournament. The Gulf state's treatment of migrant workers, women, and the LGBTQ community has promoted widening condemnation.
That whenever the team is going for a mission like this one, we meet the team and give them our structure, because it is our interest that we give bonuses to players and officials who are doing well. It's our policy. We don't do it for the purposes of the news. We do it because we want to motivate the players and the officials. That's the objective. That every player and official will be paid 5 million Uganda shillings for achieving what you achieve.
Mr. President, thank you very much for changing the welfare of the footballers. As a coach, when the welfare of a team is not good, you have a lot of challenges. But what I saw in the camp where players were, the way they are fed, the way they were sleeping, it gave me hope that we can come back victorious and come back together. That's a very, very important thing. Otherwise, I don't have much to say. I only thank you again, thank the Federation again. Thank you very much for the players. Please, Aluta Otuna.
That means that the under-20 national team has qualified for the second consecutive time for the AFCON under-20 final tournament. The tournament will be held in February, starting from 18th to 20th of February, 12th of March in Egypt. Uganda finished second in the previous tournament that was held in Mauritania in 2021.
I would like to say that as the national team usually comes outside Uganda during their preparation for the tournaments, I would like that not to end in the national team. We would like it to also be part of the under-20 when they are preparing for the AFCON.
The countdown has started for the first World Cup to be held in the Arab world, and at last all 5 of the African countries have qualified for the who qualified for the FIFA World Cup have announced their list of players for the competition, which gets underway in Qatar on Sunday. We have more.
The host nation, Qatar, will face Ecuador in the opening match of what is already a controversial tournament. The Gulf states' treatment of migrant workers, women and the LGBTQ community has promoted widening condemnation. Former French international Marcel Desailly urges the public to focus on the game.
Think about the period during which the World Cup is being played. The idea that a large part of the players are ready is striking, and it will benefit this World Cup. We will see great games. We're going to see some intense games. We're going to have some very high-level games.
Qatar, a country of barely 3 million people, is one of the world's biggest producers of natural gas. Some estimates put total infrastructure spending over the past decade at $200 billion US. Meanwhile, at last, all 5 of the African countries that qualified for the FIFA World Cup have announced their list of players for the competition, which gets underway in Qatar on Sunday. It named its final 26-man squad under Captain Andre Ayew on Monday, but the list was marked by the misfortunes of the Black Stars goalkeeper. And Inaki Williams, who recently agreed to join the national team, could find himself facing off against his brother Nico, who will be playing for Spain. The Ghanaians are in Group H, and their first match is against Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal before facing South Korea and Uruguay. But before that, they have a last friendly match on Thursday against Switzerland.
We've come to the end of CTV PM edition. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Agi Uwase with Isaac Luchamzi on sign language. Have a good night.